Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? This is Dr. Yam, your Keep It Simple coach, and it is Biz Tip Tuesday. So, for those of you who are new to our group, I want to say welcome to the Small Biz Society. And this is our regular scheduled Biz Tip Tuesday, where I bring you knowledge, tips, and tools that are going to help you to apply to your new business. And in case you haven't already connected with me on my other social media, please do so. You can stay in touch with me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. I'm all over the place. So, welcome everyone. It's great to see you all. So, for another day of business, I hope everyone has done a productive and prosperous and progressive day. So, listen, today we're going to step right into it. So, for today's biz tip, I I always like to share my experiences, right? Because I think that's part of growing and coaching and mentoring. So, and also always share your problems with me, and then I'll try to help you solve them at the same time. So, use this as a platform for that. So, let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about email marketing. So, when we think about content marketing, it has lots of different facets. And most importantly, is how you're able to engage and communicate with your list because we're always trying to build our list. So, one of the most important things that you want to be very mindful of is the behavior of your email campaigns and how they're going about, and that they are not going to negatively impact you. So, that's always something you want to always be kind of mindful of, and you're monitoring and you're watching. So, there's a couple of different experiences that an email can engage in. So, I figured today, let's just kind of break down some of the basics when it comes to email marketing from the back end. So we're going to kind of roll it back, kind of unmask or uncover the back end of your email marketing from a management and monitoring perspective. So today we're going to take a look at how hard and soft bounces can affect your email flow, and then how you can avoid that from happening. Again, it happens to everybody, so don't freak out if you get one or two, then you're in real good shape. It's when you get more than that that it can become problematic. And that's what today's topic is really dealing with. And you just also just something that you just also should be monitoring and mindful of at the same time. So you do want to keep that in mind. So let's look at it from that perspective. So let's go over a couple of definitions so we can all be on the same page of language. And you may see these terminologies in articles or in other people's references when we talk about content marketing in general. So let me pull up my notes. And hopefully you are already grabbed your biz journals, as I always expect everyone to do during our Biz Tip Tuesday. And so let me pull up my notes and let's get started. So first thing is, what is a bounce and why does it occur? So I always kind of like to do analogies. So I want to keep it real simple because I am the Keep It Simple coach. So what is bouncing in email marketing? And essentially it is a behavior or a response to an email that is being sent from your mailbox to someone else's mailbox, and the post office in the middle. So how I like to do it is in a scenario. So I want you to kind of think of it like this. I want you to think of two main post offices, okay, in your community. And let's just say that one mail post office is Gmail, and another post office is Yahoo. And your mailbox is the Gmail mailbox, and you're trying to send a group of email from your mailbox, post office. You went over there and you dropped a whole bunch of letters in, and it got sent over to, and they all happen to be Yahoo email, just for this example. So all the emails are going to a Yahoo post office. And therefore, it's the conversation that's of the transmission of those emails that's taking place. Typically, most emails land where they're supposed to land with no problems whatsoever. However, there are instances when things may not go so well. So there's two types. There's really more than that, but I'll cover two primary types of email behaviors or email bounces. The first is what we call a hard bounce. And a hard bounce is when an email is not able to be sent because either it's the email itself is no good and or it has been blocked, and it is so therefore it is what I would consider permanent. Therefore, there's no way that that email is going to make it inside of that person's box. And so therefore, like I said, in most cases, if a hard bounce is typically because the mailbox itself doesn't no longer exist. And so there's no way for the post office to send that mail over there because the server, the other post office is like, we're not taking that. That is a hard bounce. So once a hard bounce occurs, you can't go back and resend it. You don't want to. And therefore, it's kind of like on a blacklist. So therefore, that's a hard bounce. And so you definitely want to avoid that. And I'll share with you how you can do that momentarily. Then, of course, there's a second type of a bounce, and this is what we call a soft bounce. A soft bounce is when you have it is when something you try to send a mail, but for temporary reasons, it's just not able to go through at that given point in time. This could be that the mailbox itself is full, the server itself is down, they may be on vacation. So there may be some circumstances where that particular email is unresponsive. It will then try to resend itself and then try to get through over time. So that's a soft bounce. Bounces either way aren't good for you, but you certainly want that to happen. There's another type of bounce that I learned about, and it's called a transient bounce. And that's the type of bounce where it just keeps, it's like it's stuck in the middle. It just keeps going, can't get in and it won't go back, can't get in, it won't go back. And it's just going to keep trying and trying and trying until it gets in. So it's kind of like this stuck in the middle. And then you have your what we call a fraud mail, a fraud bounce, or kind of like a spam, which again really means it's been identified, meaning someone, usually the recipient, has marked your mail and blocked it as spam mail. And so therefore that's another type of a bounce that has a negative inference and can, when those things occur more often than they ought to, the servers will hear about it. It's kind of like bad news, gets around real quick, right? And so when servers hear that mail coming from your mailbox to someone else's is getting marked as spammy or fraudulent and it's hit as a block, you get on the bad list. And that ain't good. Now, you can, on occasion, if you feel as though you were treated wrong, wrongly identified, and it happens. Sometimes we click those boxes real quick. We didn't mean to make you look like you're spammy. It's just that you were probably just getting on our nerves, and we just marked you as spam-ish. However, so in those cases, sometimes you can contact the mail server entity and inform them that, hey, it seems you gotten misidentified, didn't mean to or anything. Sometimes you get away with it, sometimes you don't. So again, do it right the first time. Now, that being said, I think I got one more. So those are the kind of like types of bounces. So again, keep into the analogy, your post office and the other person's post office and how they're able to communicate. And when you're not able to have a good relationship between the two postmasters, then you have a responsibility of fixing it so that you don't get stuck on the bad blacklist. It's not a nice place to be because it's going to impact your business negatively. And you certainly don't want that to happen, right? Now, that being said, let me just. So here's something also to be mindful of. Address turnover rate is about 30% a year, meaning that people choose for whatever reason. It could be they just want to close an email account and open up another one. Some people do that, and here's why they do it. They typically do it because the mailboxes are too full and they're overwhelmed and they just don't feel like dealing with it anymore. So just want to start fresh. It happens. Another one is they've moved. So they may have changed jobs. They don't have that email and access to that anymore. Like I tend like when I do contract work and I'm there for like long periods of time, like 6 months or something. And sometimes the company always wants to give me a company email. So my email correspondences are all tagged through them and it's all on up and up, which is fine. I get annoyed because if I get 5 clients, I got 5 emails I got to deal with. But another story for another day. That being said, once I might have used that email to subscribe to something during my tenure. And so once that account is closed and you're still trying to send email to me, it's going to be considered blocked, or you should have that as a hard bounce. So just know that the rate of that turnover is around 30%. So and this is why it's important that you're monitoring and that you have a means of checking things on a routine basis. Now, why this is important is that bouncing does affect your email marketing campaigns, and you certainly want them to be as pristine as possible. So the higher your bounce rate or the higher there's a higher likelihood then that you're going to get blocked and you're going to get blacklisted and you could get suspended. And you don't want any of those things to happen to you in your business. So if this is you, for example, you then want to do a verification. So in a prior email, let me see if I can show this. I'll put the link in the chat as well. But one of the things that you want to do is verify. So, and I did a video on this as well, but you want to verify the email addresses that you are getting. So you can put your whole list up in this website. So you can watch the video here inside of Facebook, and I'm going to put the link in the chat as well. Let's see if this is going to let me do it. Let me see. It's going to let me put my little link in here for you guys. Yeah. This is the video that I did a demonstration on how to verify your emails so that if you find yourself in that circumstance that you won't be able to, you can get yourself out of it. So watch the video on how that works. And then second, so that's one thing. So always try to verify your email. So go clean out your list before you run a large campaign. So again, that's one way of kind of preventing that from happening. Okay, so that's one thing you could do for yourselves. So you stay on the good list and not on the bad list. Another thing to keep your bounce rates low is to choose double opt-in. When you're setting up your email campaign, I know there's a checkbox somewhere. Every system is a little different, but do know that when you can choose to do a double opt-in. What does this do? This typically means that when a person fills in a form, they're also having to check box that, yes, me, I want to be in, no, I want to on the list. And it also will have them to double check their email address. So therefore, it's a very intentional that they want to be on your list. And so that's one of the other reasons why doing a double opt-in on your campaign helps to keep your bounce rates low. Another thing to keep in mind too, yeah, this is the video inside the Facebook group. If you wanted to do it in a search, look for how to verify new subscribers and how long does it take to read an email. Those are 2 tools that I happen to choose. Now, another thing that you could do when you are monitoring your bounce rate itself is to use a tool. So there's actually that you can kind of test your campaign itself, because here's the other deal. So there's the whole thing about the email, the content and the people and the email addresses themselves, making sure that you're verifying it. Then there's the mail servers and their kind of filter to see that the content and what you're sending is good and not going to like screw up anybody else's. So there's, because remember, your mail server techs that are managing servers on the back end will put some parameters in place. Another reason why, if you're sending attachments, that too could be a block as well, by the way. So sending file attachments, particularly with like corporate, they're not going to, from the outside, they're not going to accept those files. Or if they are of a large size, they're not going to accept those files either. You're much better off sharing links where then person can then click the link and get access to a file. Sending large attachments is just not as appealing to email servers. So do know that as well. However, there's another way that you can prevent the bounce rates from occurring, and that is to test your email campaign before you send it out. And so guess what? There's a tip and a tool for that. So I'm going to put that up. Here is, you can try MailHyphenTester.com. So MailHyphenTester.com is the web address that you can go to. Let me see if I can pull it up. I'm on a new computer, guys. We'll see. Share screen. Get a window. Let's see if it'll work. Okay, so you should now see my screen. So here you can simply test for spamminess of your emails. So here's another way for you to just make sure that the content value isn't being seen or perceived by the mail servers themselves, so that you can, if it does, and you can quickly fix it. And if it isn't, you're in good shape. So here, and it also kind of gives you a test score. I didn't have an extra one to show you. Let me see if this one will send it. So first you send in your email, send your email to, and you're going to send it to this email address. Okay, so you add this email address to your automation list system, right? As when you do, because you should all have a test your email version, like a preview. You should be able to test your email. I know most of the email systems that I have that. So when you test your email or do the preview one, you can use this copy of this text. You just simply copy that and then test the mail. What's going to happen when you do that is that then you can check your score. And when you check your score, it's going to give you, let you know, look, it's swimming, it's checking out the inbox, swimming. And so it's going to check that out the inbox of, and it's going to, this tester box, and then it's going to give you a score. And if it's a good score, then you're in good shape. And if not, then it'll give you some feedback on what to do next. But just know this is a freebie tool that you could use at the same time. Since I'm not using a real one, it's not giving me a really good score. So just know that that's how it works though. But do try it out because it could be something very helpful for you. Okay, let me go back. All righty. So I hope you found that to be a useful tool as well. So remember, you've got an email sort of test the email, verify your emails, web address tool that you could use. And then you can test out the email campaign that you're sending it to. And that's another way of being able to keep the bounce rates low. And of course, one of the best things that you could do for yourself is just monitor. You have reports that are part of your email automation systems. Read them. I know. So easy to think of, right? But sometimes we're just such in a rush to do, but do check your data. So there are running reports that you can run, and they typically have columns, and it gives you this simple data analytics on what's the bounce rate, what's the return rate, what's the open rate, your click rates. All of that information is clearly outlined for you in very simple terms. So you don't have to be a techie, but you do need to be looking at your data so that you can utilize it to make informed decisions. Now, that is the tip of the day. So I hope that you found that to be helpful for you, so that as you continue on with your email campaigns, in order for you to grow your email list, you want your email list to be as clean and pristine and cute as possible. So this is Dr. Yam. I'm your Keep It Simple coach. You can find me at keepitsimplecoach.info. Of course, you can also find me inside of the smallbizsociety.info web Facebook community as well. And if you are an aspiring entrepreneur and you have an idea, but you need some help jumping it off, check us out. Inside of the jumpstartmydreambiz.com is the address that'll take you over to our community of employees that are transitioning into entrepreneurs. So again, thank you for allowing me to be your Keep It Simple coach. This is Dr. Yam. You guys stay busy. Bye.